All right. Thank you guys for taking the time to watch this video. This is the help video for page 44, which is more problems for close to 100. And close to 100, let me switch screens here for a second, is a game that we've played for a couple days. And we spent a lot of time talking about different strategies and ways to play the game. In the game close to 100, what happens is you would get a total of 6 cards that looked just like the cards you see on page 44 in problems 1, 2, and 3. And of those 6 cards, you could pull numbers any way you want. So let me come back to my other screen. And here's how it worked. Let me make these cards real quick. So problem number 1, we've got an 8, 5, 2, 7. Bear with me for 1 second. Some fancy paint. So 8, 5, 2. 7, 1, and 3. And as I was saying, in this game, you could take any numbers you want of these cards. You can move these cards around in any way you want to make 2 two-digit numbers that you'll add together. So I could take the 5 and the 7 to make the number 57, or I could maybe, if I want to take the 7 and the 5, I could do 75, so I could flip them. But you can only use each card once, and you've got to make some sort of addition problem that gives you an answer that's going to be really close to 100. So in the homework, you can see you've got 2 blanks, which is where you're going to make a number, and then you've got 2 other blanks where you're going to make a number. And that's going to equal something. We'll get to the whole score part in a minute. So, like I said, you could take, let's say I want to do 82 by taking the 8 and the 2, and add, I could add 13 to it. I could use the 1 and the 3, but you can't use any number twice. You can only use each number once. So if I have like you can see, I already used the 8 and the 2. I wouldn't be able to go use that over here. And like I said, your goal is to make 2 two-digit numbers, which I did, because here's 1 two-digit number. A two-digit number is a number that is made up of 2 other numbers. So the reason this is a two-digit number is because 82 is made up of an 8 and a 2. It takes 2 numbers to make it. So now that we understand how this game works, or for if you're a student watching this, you remember how to play now. What your goal is to do on this homework is to get a answer that's really, really close to 100. Because the closer you are, the lower your score was, and that's how you would win the game back when we were playing. Let's see if I can erase this real quick. For some reason, my eraser is not cooperating. Oh, there we go. And here we go. Okay, so let's actually go to solve this problem. If you remember in class, one strategy we used, which worked really, really well, and this is what we found out after talking about this game for quite a long time, one strategy that worked really well was trying to work on the tens place first, because we're so good at adding by place that it makes sense to sometimes just add one place at a time. So we know that my tens places in both numbers, I would have a tens place here. I would have a tens place here. And then my other spots would be my ones place. I put an O for ones place, a T for tens place. And the biggest trick we talked about was to try to make the tens place equal 9. Because if the tens place equaled 9, or in other words, if you had 9 tens, that's the same as the number 90. If you're not sure how to figure out that it's the number 90, if you hold out 9 fingers and count by tens for each finger, that would give you a total of 90. So right away, I can see I've got a couple ways to do this. I've got a 7 and a 2, which could make 9 tens. I could put a 7 here and then a 2 over here. Or I could do an 8 and a 1. So I could put an 8 here and a 1 here. Or just as we know in math, is in addition, you can always switch the numbers. I could put a 1 here and an 8 here. I could flip them, and it would still be 9 tens. So I'll just I'll pick either one to start with, and you can test both and see which number gets you closest to 100, since that's your goal. I'm just going to pick one for now. So let's pick the 8 to use as our tens place. So I'm going to put 8 tens here, and I'm going to put, since I'm done with this card, I'm also going to take the 1 10 over here, because I know right away that 8 tens plus 1 10 is 9 tens. In case I forget, I'll just put a T under here for my tens again. Okay. Now, here's the biggest part we got to figure out. The game's called Close to 100, so we want to get as close to 100 as we can. And you've got a couple cards left to work with. You've got 5, 2, 7, and 3. Well, if you have a tens combination, like we've worked on in second grade, if you have a tens combination, let's say you had 5 plus 5. In this case, we don't. But if you had 5 plus 5, that would make 10. And then you're already at 90 because you're 9 tens right here. So 90 plus 10 would be exactly 100. Unfortunately, we don't have 5 plus 5 like I was talking about. But if you're looking closely, there is a tens combination up here. Take a minute to see if you can see it. I know 5 plus 2 is 7. So if I put a 5 here and a 2 here, that would make this a 7 in the 1 spot, which would be 97. That's pretty close, but there is a way to actually make 10. The way to do this is we have a 7 and a 3. So if I put a 7 here and a 3 here, 7 plus 3 is 10. And in this case, these 9 tens actually are going to go up 1 spot because we have a whole nother 10. So this really wouldn't be a 9. We would have the number 100. If that was just confusing what I did, think about it this way. Let's back up a little bit. When we added our tens at the start of the problem, you had 8 tens and you had 1 10. If I was going back to my second grade tens and ones, that would be 9 tens total. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 tens. And then notice in my ones place, I've got 7 ones. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 3 more ones I'm adding. 1, 2, 3. Well, I've got a row of 5, and I've got another row of 5, so that makes 10. So that would turn into a 10, because 10 ones always equals 110. And now I can see I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 tens. And you know that 10 tens can be circled to turn into, if we were all in class, we would all yell 100. One big hundreds block, which is what we were able to do. So again, you had your 9 tens here, just like we started with in the problem over here with our tens, and we did it using tens and ones. You had your 9 tens here, and then we made 1 new 10, and altogether that turned it into 100. That sent us from 90 up to 100. So your answer would be 100. If you have any other questions, feel free to send me an email, and I will be happy to answer them. When we look at, last thing I meant to talk about, and I forgot, was the score spot on the homework. On the homework, your score is how far away from 100 you are. So let's pretend you're at 99. How far away from 100 are you? You would be 1 away, so your score would be 1. If you're exactly on 100, like we happen to be, our score would be 0. We are 0 away from 100. We are right on 100. So that's how the rest of that works. Thank you again for taking the time to look at this video, and I hope these are helpful, and I'll continue to do these.